Welcome to Glisso English. Real life stories.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel, where we help you learn English through real-life stories. Today's story is called The Golden Child Pressure. Imagine being a student under strict parents, failing a class, but pretending to get straight A's. That's exactly what happens to Liam, our main character. In this story, you'll practice listening, improve your vocabulary, and learn phrases for everyday English. So grab a notebook, pay close attention, and let's dive into Liam's life full of stress, secrets, and courage.
Liam woke up to the sharp buzz of his alarm clock, the same one that had been in his room for as long as he could remember. Sunlight streamed through the blinds, casting lines across his messy bed. He sighed, rubbing his eyes. Another day, another performance to put on. At 16, Liam was supposed to be the golden child of his family. His parents were strict, demanding, and proud of every grade, every award, and every achievement. They talked about his future like it was already written: college, scholarships, honors. But the truth was, Liam's grades in math were slipping. He had failed the last test, and his anxiety had been growing ever since. As he got ready for school, Liam practiced his smile in the mirror. "You're fine," he whispered to himself. "They don't have to know." He carefully combed his hair and put on a clean shirt. To his parents, he needed to look confident, capable, and perfect. Any hint of failure was forbidden. Breakfast was quiet. His mother, Mrs. Chen, poured orange juice and asked, "Did you finish your homework last night, Liam? And don't forget, the school awards ceremony is this Friday." "Yes, Mom, all done," Liam replied, nodding quickly. He forced a smile, even though the failing grade from last night was still burning in his mind. At school, Liam walked through the crowded hallways, pretending that everything was normal. He greeted his friends with a cheerful "hey" and laughed at jokes he didn't even find funny. Inside, his stomach twisted. Every glance at a classmate's notebook reminded him how far behind he was. Math class arrived, and Mr. Foster handed back the graded tests. Liam's heart pounded as he opened his envelope. His score, 42%, made him freeze. How could he hide this? What if his parents found out? Panic rose, but he quickly stuffed the paper in his backpack and acted casual. Throughout the day, Liam took careful notes, copied homework from the classmates who were better at math, and even stayed after class pretending to ask questions, hoping no one would notice his struggle. He wanted the teachers to see him as diligent, even if he didn't understand most of the material. When he got home, he set his backpack down and went straight to his computer. He opened a blank document and started typing a fake progress report. "Math grade improving, shows great understanding of concepts, participates actively in class," he wrote, forcing himself to believe the lies. Dinner was tense. His father, Mr. Chen, asked about Liam's day, and Liam launched into a story of accomplishments, activities, and praise from teachers. His parents nodded proudly, completely unaware of the failing grade hidden away in his backpack. Later that night, Liam lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The weight of pretending, the constant mask he had to wear, felt suffocating. How long could he keep this up? How long could he hide the truth? And yet, he told himself, one more day, just one more day. As long as he kept smiling, kept pretending, maybe, just maybe, he could keep the golden child image alive a little longer.
The next morning, Liam woke up before his alarm, his mind already racing with plans. He knew he couldn't survive another week without some kind of strategy. His math grade was failing, and his parents expected perfection. The pressure was crushing, but he refused to let them see it. At school, he quietly observed his classmates. Some of them had no trouble understanding the lessons. Liam envied them, the way they raised their hands confidently, how their notebooks were neatly filled with correct answers. He pulled out his own notebook, messy and half empty, and felt a pang of frustration. How could he keep up without anyone noticing? He decided to take a risky approach, copying notes. Every day, he would sit near his friend Alex, pretending to ask questions while surreptitiously glancing at Alex's answers. He knew it was dishonest, but he justified it in his mind. He had no choice. If he failed openly, his parents would be disappointed, maybe even angry. At lunch, Liam opened his backpack and pulled out a small notebook labeled Fake Progress. Inside were carefully crafted lies, A's in math, glowing comments from teachers, and even imaginary participation in class projects. He updated it every day, adding small achievements to make the report seem believable. After school, Liam stayed behind under the pretense of tutoring. In reality, he was piecing together math problems he didn't understand, using online tutorials and cheat sheets he printed in secret. Hours passed as he struggled through concepts that seemed impossible. His fingers cramped from writing, his eyes blurred from staring at the screen. At home, his parents praised his hard work. "You're so dedicated, Liam. Your teachers are lucky to have you," his mother said. He nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. Inside, he felt a mix of relief and guilt. Relief that they were still proud of him, guilt that it was all based on lies. Evenings were the hardest. Liam would retreat to his room, the only place he could remove the mask. He practiced problems, memorized formulas, and rehearsed explanations in case anyone asked. Sometimes he cried silently, feeling trapped by expectations he didn't fully understand. Despite everything, Liam began to notice small victories. A problem solved correctly, a tutorial understood, a test question guessed right. Each tiny success gave him a spark of hope. He realized he wasn't completely helpless. He could learn, slowly, as long as he stayed careful and kept his parents unaware. Yet the stress never left. The fear of being found out lurked behind every smile, every casual conversation. Liam knew he was walking a tightrope. One slip, one misplaced paper, and the illusion of perfection would crumble. But for now, he had a strategy. Copying notes, creating fake reports, staying after school, and learning in secret. It wasn't ideal, but it was a way to survive. And Liam, despite his fear, was determined to do whatever it took to maintain the mask of the golden child. A week later, Liam's careful routine began to feel like a tightrope stretched across a storm. Every day brought new challenges, and a fear of slipping was constant. Today, that fear became real. During math class, Mr. Foster walked around the room, glancing at students' work. He stopped behind Liam. "Liam, can you explain how you solved this problem?" he asked, pointing to a question Liam had only partially understood. Liam froze. His mind raced. He knew that if he admitted he didn't know, it could set off alarms. He took a deep breath, hoping his calm exterior could hide his panic. I used the method from yesterday's tutoring session," he said, pointing vaguely at the page. "It's, similar to the example we did in class." Mr. Foster raised an eyebrow. "I see. Can you show me your steps?" Liam's hand shook slightly as he began writing, improvising numbers and formulas that didn't make sense. Sweat prickled his forehead, but he kept his tone steady. "I just followed the formula like this," he explained, trying to sound confident. After what felt like an eternity, Mr. Foster nodded. "All right, good effort. Make sure to review the steps again at home." Liam exhaled, relief flooding him. He had survived, but barely. Back at home, Liam's heart still pounded. Dinner was quiet until his father asked, "Any updates from your teachers today?" "Everything's good, Dad,"
Liam said, forcing a smile. He felt a pang of guilt as he handed them the fake progress report he had updated that morning. His parents glanced over it, smiling proudly. "Excellent work, Liam. Keep it up," his mother said. Later that night, Liam lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. The close call in class replayed over and over in his mind. What if Mr. Foster had asked more questions? What if he couldn't improvise next time? He realized that pretending to be perfect wasn't just about grades. It was a constant act of vigilance. Every word, every expression, every action had to be calculated. One small mistake, one slip of honesty, and the whole illusion would collapse. Despite the fear, Liam also felt a strange determination. He couldn't give up, not yet. He had started to develop small strategies, copying notes, creating fake reports, staying after school, but he knew these were only temporary fixes. He needed a plan that could actually help him improve, not just survive. As he drifted to sleep, Liam promised himself that he would find a way to balance the pressure from his parents with the reality of his struggles. But for now, he had survived another day, and that, in itself, felt like a small victory.
The days began to blur together for Liam. Wake up, smile, pretend, survive, repeat. What once felt like a temporary solution had become a daily routine. The lies were no longer small excuses. They were a second life he had to carefully maintain. Every conversation with his parents felt like walking through a field of hidden traps. One wrong word, one forgotten detail, and everything could explode. At school, the pressure followed him like a shadow. During math class, Liam tried harder than ever to focus. He wrote every word Mr. Foster said, underlined formulas, circled examples, and nodded as if he understood everything. But inside, confusion still swirled. Sometimes the numbers on the board seemed to blur together, and his mind would drift to one frightening thought. What if they find out? He began losing sleep. At night, instead of resting, he replayed every lie he had told that day. Did his story about the extra credit assignment make sense? Did he remember what fake grade he had written on the progress report? He kept mental notes of his own deception, terrified of contradicting himself. The stress started to show. He snapped at Alex for no reason one afternoon. He forgot to laugh at a joke. He even avoided group study sessions because he was afraid someone might notice how much he didn't know. The mask of the confident, high-achieving student was getting heavier to wear. At home, the pressure felt even worse. His parents proudly told relatives about his excellent performance. His father mentioned future scholarships. His mother talked about advanced classes next year. Every compliment felt like a stone added to Liam's chest. Instead of feeling proud, he felt trapped. One evening, while working on homework, his hands began to shake. The math problem in front of him wasn't even the hardest one, but his thoughts were loud and chaotic. You're going to fail again. You're going to disappoint them. You're not good enough. He pushed the notebook away and pressed his palms against his eyes, trying to calm down. The room felt smaller. The walls felt closer. He wasn't just afraid of failing math anymore. He was afraid of failing as the golden child. For the first time, Liam questioned the image his parents had built around him. Was he successful because he was talented, or because he was too scared to admit weakness? Did they love him for who he was, or for the perfect student they believed he was? The lies had protected him from immediate disappointment, but they had created something worse: isolation. He couldn't fully relax with his friends, he couldn't be honest with his teachers, and he certainly couldn't tell his parents the truth. The pressure was no longer just about grades, it was about identity. Late that night, Liam stared at the ceiling again, exhaustion weighing on him. He realized something important. Keeping up the lie was harder than facing the truth.
But even with that realization, fear still held him back. Admitting failure meant risking disappointment. Continuing the lie meant slowly losing himself. As he closed his eyes, one thought echoed in his mind. How long can I carry this? The answer, though he didn't yet admit it, was becoming clearer with each passing day.
Weeks passed, and the weight of Liam's secret grew heavier. He was constantly exhausted from pretending, from memorizing fake answers, from rehearsing explanations for questions he couldn't truly answer. Even his friends noticed changes in his behavior. He was quieter, more tense, and often lost in thought. One afternoon, while Liam was struggling to solve a complicated math problem in the library, his best friend Alex approached. "Hey, Liam, you look stressed. Everything okay?" Liam hesitated. He wasn't used to sharing his struggles, especially not the truth. But seeing genuine concern in Alex's eyes made him pause. Yeah, I'm fine," he said, forcing a smile. Alex wasn't convinced. "You're not fine. I've seen you struggling. Look, I can help you with math if you want. We can figure it out together." For a moment, Liam wanted to say no. His pride and fear of being found out screamed at him. But the exhaustion, the constant fear of slipping in front of his parents or teachers was stronger. He finally whispered, "Okay, maybe you can help me." The next afternoon, they met in the library. Alex patiently explained concepts that had always seemed impossible to Liam. Step by step, he broke down problems, showing Liam how to approach them logically. For the first time in weeks, Liam felt a glimmer of hope. Math wasn't magic, it could be understood. As the days went by, Liam began to rely on Alex's support. They formed a routine. After school, they would study together, go through notes, and practice problems. Liam still hid his failing grade from his parents, but the burden felt slightly lighter now that he wasn't entirely alone. One evening, while walking home from their study session, Liam admitted, "I was really scared. My parents expect so much from me. I didn't know what to do." Alex smiled. "Hey, you're not alone in this. Everyone struggles sometimes. It's okay to ask for help. It doesn't make you weak." Liam felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He realized that pretending to be perfect had isolated him, but now he had someone he could trust. Alex's support didn't solve all his problems, but it gave him strength. He began to understand that perfection wasn't the goal. Learning and asking for help were far more important. That night, Liam worked on his math homework with renewed focus. He still had a long way to go, but for the first time, he felt like he could face the challenge. He smiled quietly to himself, knowing that having an ally made the impossible feel a little less daunting.
Days turned into weeks, and Liam's secret study sessions with Alex began to pay off. Slowly but surely, the impossible problems he once avoided became manageable. He could now solve certain equations without staring blankly at the page, and he even began to anticipate the steps his teacher would ask for in class. One afternoon, Liam opened his notebook and realized he had correctly solved 5 problems in a row, something that would have been unthinkable just a month ago. A small smile crept across his face. For the first time, he felt like he was making real progress, not just surviving. At school, Liam's confidence began to show, though he still carefully maintained his golden child facade. He participated in class discussions, answered a few questions correctly, and even helped a classmate with a tricky problem. Inside, he felt a sense of pride, but he still hid his failing grade from his parents. That fear of discovery hadn't disappeared, and he knew it wouldn't anytime soon. During lunch, Liam nudged him. "See, you're getting better. You're learning, not just pretending." Liam nodded, feeling both relief and anxiety. The truth was, progress was slow. One wrong test score could undo everything, but for now, he allowed himself a small victory.
At home, Liam continued the daily routine of rehearsing stories and creating fake progress reports, but now when he wrote A's in math or excellent performance in class, he could do it with slightly more confidence. Behind the lies, he was slowly building real skills. One evening, Liam tackled a particularly difficult problem he had failed at before. Hours passed, and frustration threatened to take over, but Alex's earlier guidance echoed in his mind. Step by step, he worked through it. When he finally reached the correct answer, he couldn't help but grin. It was a small victory, but it meant something huge. He was capable of learning, even in the face of pressure and fear. The next day in class, Liam applied what he had learned. He raised his hand and answered a question correctly. Mr. Foster gave him a surprised nod. Liam's heart raced with pride and relief. For the first time, he felt like he was on the path to actually understanding the material, not just pretending. Still, the mask was not gone. He knew that at home, the fear of discovery lingered. The fake progress reports, the rehearsed conversations with his parents, the constant anxiety, they were still there. But the small victories gave him courage. Liam realized that he didn't have to be perfect. He just had to keep trying, keep learning, and slowly, maybe, the truth would become less terrifying. For the first time in a long while, Liam felt a fragile sense of hope. Progress wasn't instant, but it was real, and that made all the difference.
Liam thought he was making steady progress. His secret study sessions with Alex were helping, and he had started feeling a little more confident in math. But the more he tried to maintain the perfect image for his parents, the more fragile it became. It happened one ordinary evening. Liam had just finished doing homework and was walking past the kitchen, his fake progress report tucked under his arm. He didn't notice that the real math test he had failed earlier was still sitting on the counter. His mother, Mrs. Chen, picked up the paper. Her brow furrowed. "Liam, what is this?" she asked, holding up the failing grade. Liam froze, his heart thudding painfully. His mouth opened, but no words came out. He could feel the sweat forming at his temples. I thought I did better," he stammered, trying to sound casual, but the lie felt heavy and brittle on his tongue. Mr. Chen joined them in the kitchen. "Liam, is this true? You've been telling us your grades are excellent, but this says otherwise." Panic rose inside Liam, and he scrambled for an explanation. I studied really hard. I just made a mistake. I'll do better next time, I promise." His voice cracked slightly, betraying the fear he had worked so hard to hide. His parents exchanged concerned glances. There was disappointment, yes, but also something unexpected, curiosity rather than anger. "Liam," his father said gently, "why didn't you tell us you were struggling?" Liam swallowed hard. He wanted to say something, anything, but the words stuck in his throat. He realized how exhausting the pretending had become. Every day he had worn a mask, and now the cracks were showing. That night, Liam lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. He felt relief, guilt, and fear all at once. The facade he had carefully built was no longer perfect. For the first time, Liam considered being honest with his parents, but he wasn't sure if he had the courage. At the same time, he thought about Alex and their study sessions. Maybe asking for help was not weakness. Maybe telling the truth didn't have to mean punishment. Liam realized that the mask of perfection had protected him from immediate disappointment, but it had also trapped him in fear and isolation. The crack in the facade was frightening, but it also gave him a choice: continue pretending or face the truth and begin the slow journey of honesty and real improvement. For the first time, Liam wondered if he could trust someone enough to let the mask fall, if he could allow himself to be vulnerable without losing everything. The next morning, Liam felt a heaviness in his chest that he couldn't shake. The incident with the failing test had left a mark.
He couldn't stop thinking about how fragile the web of lies had become. Every time he imagined another slip, panic rose. It was time to face the truth, no matter how terrifying it seemed. At breakfast, Liam pushed his plate aside and took a deep breath. "Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something," he said, his voice trembling slightly. His parents looked up, surprised. "What is it, Liam?" his mother asked, concern lining her face. I haven't been honest about my math grade," he admitted, feeling a knot tighten in his stomach. "I've been pretending to get good grades. I didn't want to disappoint you, and I thought I could handle it on my own, but I was wrong." His parents were silent for a moment. His father's eyes softened, and his mother's lips pressed together, as if holding back emotion. "Liam," his father said gently, "we know you're smart and capable, but we don't expect perfection. We expect effort, honesty, and that you ask for help when you need it." Tears welled up in Liam's eyes. "I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I thought if I told you, you'd be disappointed, maybe even angry." His mother reached across the table and took his hand. "We're not angry, Liam. We want to help you, not punish you. Pretending only makes things harder. You don't have to face this alone." For the first time, Liam felt the heavy weight on his chest begin to lift. The fear that had consumed him for weeks was slowly replaced by something new, relief. He realized that honesty didn't mean losing their love, it meant gaining support. Over the next few days, Liam and his parents worked together to create a plan. They discussed tutoring, extra practice, and regular check-ins with his teachers. His parents reassured him that struggling didn't make him any less capable or loved. It was simply a challenge, one that he could overcome with effort and guidance. That night, Liam lay in bed thinking about the conversation. The mask he had worn for so long was finally starting to come off, and he didn't feel exposed or weak. He felt stronger than he had in weeks. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Math was still difficult, and mistakes would happen, but now he had support, honesty, and a plan. And for the first time in a long time, Liam felt like he could face the challenges ahead without fear of hiding behind lies. After admitting the truth to his parents, Liam felt a strange mix of relief and nervousness. For the first time, he no longer had to pretend at home. But school remained a challenge. Math still confused him, and fear of making mistakes lingered. The next day, Liam stayed after school with Mr. Foster, openly asking questions he had previously avoided. "I don't understand this problem," he said honestly, showing the steps he had tried. The teacher nodded with approval. "It's good that you're asking, Liam. That's how you learn." For weeks, Liam continued to seek help from Alex, his teacher, and even classmates who were willing to explain things. Each session built his confidence, slowly chipping away at the fear that had once consumed him. He discovered that asking for help didn't make him weak, it made him stronger. At home, he shared his progress with his parents honestly. "I solved 3 of the practice problems today," he said one evening, beaming. His parents smiled and encouraged him, not with pressure, but with support. "See, you're improving because you're putting in the effort," his mother said. Liam began to notice changes in himself. He was less anxious, more focused, and even enjoyed math on some days. The burden of lying was gone, replaced by the satisfaction of real learning. Even small victories, like answering a question correctly in class, felt meaningful because they were his own accomplishments, not part of a fabricated story. His friends noticed the difference too. Liam no longer seemed tense or withdrawn. He laughed more freely, participated in conversations, and even helped others who struggled with homework. He realized that sharing struggles could build connection, not shame. Most importantly, Liam learned that perfection was not the goal. Effort, honesty, and persistence mattered far more. Each time he asked for help, each time he admitted he didn't know something, he grew more capable. He began to embrace mistakes as part of learning rather than signs of failure. By the end of the semester, Liam's grades were improving steadily. He wasn't perfect, but he was learning, growing, and finally feeling confident in his abilities. The pressure that had once crushed him had transformed into motivation, guided by support, honesty, and effort. For the first time in a long while, Liam felt proud, not of the mask he had worn, but of who he truly was becoming.
The semester was coming to an end, and Liam could finally breathe. The weight of pretending to be perfect had lifted, replaced by a sense of accomplishment built on real effort. His grades were not flawless, but they reflected his hard work and determination, not lies. In math class, he answered a question correctly and noticed the small smile of approval from Mr. Foster. It wasn't a grand victory, but it felt significant, proof that honesty, persistence, and asking for help worked. Liam realized that growth didn't happen overnight, but step by step he was becoming stronger and more confident. At home, Liam's parents celebrated his effort rather than the grades themselves. "We're proud of how hard you've worked, Liam," his father said. "That's what matters most." His mother nodded, adding, "Remember, perfection isn't what we want from you. We want honesty, effort, and courage, and you've shown all three." For Liam, the relief went beyond academics. He no longer felt trapped by fear or the need to maintain an image. He had learned to trust his parents, lean on his friend Alex, and ask for help when needed. The mask of the golden child was no longer necessary. He had found a new kind of strength in being himself. Liam also noticed changes in his mindset. Mistakes no longer terrified him. They were opportunities to learn. Asking for help no longer felt like weakness. It was a tool for growth. He felt a balance forming in his life between effort and rest, honesty and responsibility, learning and living. One evening, as Liam closed his notebook after finishing homework, he smiled quietly to himself. The journey had been difficult, but it had taught him more than grades ever could. He was proud of what he had achieved, not because it looked perfect to anyone else, but because it was real, earned, and his own. The golden child pressure had not disappeared entirely. Expectations still existed, but Liam now knew that he didn't have to face them alone or hide his struggles. With honesty, effort, and support, he could handle challenges without fear, and he could grow into the person he wanted to be, one step at a time. And for the first time in a long while, Liam felt at peace with who he truly was.
Thank you for watching today's story, The Golden Child Pressure. Liam's journey shows us that trying to be perfect all the time can be exhausting. Pretending to get straight A's might seem easier at first, but hiding the truth only creates stress and fear. By being honest, asking for help, and working step by step, Liam learned that growth, effort, and courage are far more important than perfection. In this story, you've practiced listening skills, learned new vocabulary, and discovered phrases you can use in everyday English. Remember, making mistakes is a natural part of learning, and asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more real-life stories that help you learn English naturally, improve your speaking, listening, and vocabulary, and understand common expressions used in daily life. Also, check the description below for a full list of key phrases and words from this story, along with study tips to practice at home. Share this video with your friends if you want to learn English together. Stay motivated, keep practicing, and remember, you don't have to be perfect to succeed. See you in the next story.